Okay, so I've decided what I'm going to do. I went through the archivers run, and now I have a way to proceed and maybe possibly help. So, with Diger's patches on. So, with Diger's patches on, this is just a point of reference. It's just whatever. What my approach is going to be is I'm going to start with, I'm going to do a raw build with Diger's patches on and some of my, overrides that I have in there. Some I can't really differentiate between which ones Diger did and which ones I did. I'd have to look, but that's not really all that important, except to know what I need to tell Diger. I got to separate out what I've done and what Diger's done, because I don't want to email changes back to Diger that he's already done. So I've got my list here of what I ultimately was able to build with the older nightly build, which I put the stats and everything else up at GitHub. So now, and then I've looked at what built and what didn't, and now I'm going to look at each one of these things that didn't build and send what I did to get them to build over to Diger and try to suggest ways that how I can get the changes in such a way that won't require user intervention. I mean, the way Diger has it is based, and it's a good approach. It's basically okay, get your package. He's got the instructions up at the project page over at Google Code Hosting, and he has some instructions, and it says do everything the same, but do these things differently. Now the only problem we have right now, at least with the current build, is there's something going on. It won't bootstrap in either the GC2 or 4. It fails when it tries to make a directory. And that was the same error I was having pretty much last night before I applied or used Diger's patches. So assuming the end user is going to be able to get around that issue, and in fact, there's going to be a lot of little subjects to cover here, but how I got around that is basically I already had a backup bootstrap set up from my old disk image. I started out with a new fresh disk image with the new build on it. Re-downloaded package source, unzipped it, tried to bootstrap, didn't work. So what I did is I mounted the old disk image, and what had happened is once I had uninstalled zlib, the system refused to boot. It wants the package file system in place before it boots, at least on the later builds here. So, but with the package file system in place, I haven't been able to mount other disk images that have the package file system in place. So while it was in that temporarily broken state, I was able to copy over all my solutions, all the packages that I'd built, source code with the hard links, a bunch of stuff, all the stuff that I had basically before, and I reset it up. And also what I had over on the other side was a backup basic bootstrap setup, and I still have it. And what bootstrap basically does is it creates some directories and puts some executables and or scripts in boot home package. So what I just took that backup, deleted the one that didn't build completely, took that backup and added those scripts and binaries to that directory, and things built, at least from the combination of starting the bootstrap and then replacing the partially built system with these things. And then when I went to build my first executable, which was 9E, it went on to create a couple packages. One was called check perms, and one was called so actually I have another category now called bootstrap and something called digest that I probably didn't have a build for before. If I did, it'd be under package tools. Yeah, okay, it's actually goes under package tools, so I'm gonna change my mind on that. I just look, because I have all those set aside. So anyway, in fact, I'm gonna move that right now over to package tools, although I really haven't built the digest from the package tools directory. It goes underneath that category. Okay, so getting back to this, and what my overall point is going to be. So now that I have it bootstrapped and working in the new build, the build from now 2 nights ago, yeah, actually, since we're global, it's kind of hard to say when the night was. They call it a nightly, so it could have been from 3 days ago, but it's within the last 2 days. I went in, and initially I just, on camera, yesterday I went through a pretty much a vanilla build. That the only thing that would happen to the source code is that the package source patches, if they existed for the archivers category, would try to apply. And it was just a big, the only thing it really built was 9E, and I stopped in the middle, and I decided it's a waste of time, I'll just go with Digger's patches. So I ran that overnight, and so now I get to see, I can look at what his stats are, look at what my stats are, and see what I've built in addition to what he has built through package source. He probably has more built, I'm just saying. And then either send him patches if I'd made a change, or suggest some kind of way to get things working if there's something that's not really a patch, it's not really a specific package, and I'll get into the detail of what I'm talking about. Basically, it's Perl as a part of it. So let's just actually look at the details here. So pretty much everything I've highlighted. All right, so this gets a little more complicated now. So basically, there are 105 archivers. And side note, there are the original set of packages. If you just download, in fact, let's just look at this. I know there's so many different subjects to talk about, but this is still kind of important. So if you go into the archivers directory, there's always 2, and I'll get to my point. There's always a folder that isn't a package that's able to build, and a make file for the whole category. So if you ran make install, if you cd into this directory and you type make install, it's going to attempt to build all these. Okay. Subtracting out the CVS and the make file, the count is 106. Well, I get 105. The reason is that one of these packages can't be built in Haiku because it's a duplicate of another package, but it uses Linux binary compatibility to run it. So it's kind of pre-built, or it builds using Linux compatibility and not just building and running using the native ABI. Well, Linux compatibility isn't something you can build. It's more or less, it was part of NetBSD, so you have to take that out. So I took that out, and you think, well, that's 105. I think there was more than one of those, actually, where it just says that this is not for Haiku. There were on the earlier version of package source, and they may have updated this, I actually went to package source work in progress, and I downloaded all their files for one package, and my memory is pretty good, but it isn't the best. I think it was for LZMA. I might even have a note about that. I'd have to look. There was a package that I had to actually go to work in progress. There were two of them. One wasn't really complete. So I'm kind of unfairly counting against that, and I think I even know which one that is, either 43 or 46. Okay, 43 is XAR. So XAR, is it in here now? Did I copy? I didn't copy over my own. Maybe I did copy over my old everything from the other system. I don't know why XAR is there. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe they finished making it. Let me try it. Anyway, so I'm really digressing here from what God. I should probably just start out with what my point is. And what my point is I'm going to look over everything. I've built everything that Deiger was able to build because Deiger released his patches, so I used those. And then I did some other things that Deiger's patches don't resolve, and what I want to do is I want to get the information back to Deiger so he could build the other ones. So package source will have all these fixes or changes or whatever it is that I did to get these things to work. And everything that I have in yellow here are things that actually I could help add to so what will end up happening if I'm successful at providing information and or a solution to all these things that I have actually highlighted, what will end up happening is instead of package source with Deiger's patches building, where are we? It's pretty good already at 43 out of 105. It'll build 76 out of 105. So I have information that'll help 26 more packages build in the archivers directory. And so I want to get the information to them so everybody will be able to build 76 when they just simply download package source and they get the what is it? The local patches from Deiger. So I got to be able to get this information to Deiger in such a way that he can actually use it. Now, one major thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 7 Perl packages that are archiver in the archivers category. So they're Perl sub packages, and I know exactly what's going on with those. Those will build if I move. There's a library that builds with Perl 5. Perl 5 is successfully built. He got that far just by run through the archivers. I have Perl 5 build from package source, thanks to Deiger. So the only issue that I have is that there's one file that needs to be copied from a directory that's kind of buried down in the boot home package library directory under Perl core. In fact, let me just go in there. I may have done this already, but see, now that I have a little more experience, I think I'll be more effective at actually being a help instead of feeling like a buffoon. Also, here's the package config. I'm going to do that. So these will be better videos now. So there's the Perl 5, 5.2.0. I'm going to pause because I think faster than I can talk. But basically, for package config, I'm going to make the pthread stubs text file. I'm going to test my theory. I'm pretty damn sure it'll work. All I have to do now that package config is installed within package source is create a text file with certain contents in it, about 10 lines of contents. And once that's in there, I should be able to build any package that requires the pthread stubs library. That package source will say you can't do this because you don't have pthread stubs. So I'm going to end up solving, and a lot of the X11 packages need that. So so things like this are the things that they're out of the box. You know, these, if I can come up with a solution, they're going to be out of the box or out of the square. You know, think outside the square kind of solutions, because typically, you know, package source make files, I mean, its job is to download and make sure that the thing builds, not really move files around the system. And in this case for Perl, we're going to move stuff around the system. So getting back to this, we got boot home package lib Perl 520. There is a i386 haiku folder, and there's a core folder, and in there there's lib Perl. Now what I want to do is I want to modify the package source makefile. And there's two make. In general, there are two makefiles. I don't know if there's actually a makefile for Perl, but in general there's two. Each package for package source has a makefile inside its directory structure. So getting back to this, so we have boot, home, package source. And the reason why I do the double package source things, it seems like it was easier to bootstrap that way, and it still seemed like that was true. I got further along the bootstrap, but again, okay, so digressing, but getting back to this. So boot home, package source, here's the archivers, go down to languages, and we go to Perl, which is 5.2, I think. Perl 5, they call it. Specifically, it's Perl 5.2.0. And so here is, okay, they got hacks make. So, you know, I got to figure out what it is. Options, the pack list, the P list. We got a lot of options here. Basically, every single one of these packages has something called a makefile. Now, sometimes there's something called makefile common, and I really don't know the technical reason why there would be a makefile.common. I don't have the technical reason why the module make, an options make, a pack list make, Vars make, or a version make, but there are. Build link, I know it has something to do with the way it's compiled, but my aim right now is to find out, what's this thing? I'm going to poke around and see if anybody's tried to, first of all, I'm going to try to see if anybody's tried to deal with the issue that I want to deal with. And just see if any of these things that are here, dist info usually isn't. Now hacks, that sounds appealing. Fix brokenness with older toolchain on Spark 64. So basically what they aim to do is they aim to put everything in the makefile, but if it just gets to be too huge, they'll daisy chain other text files. And this is mostly, yeah, it could be any hack really, but what I want to end up doing, license, that's anything I want to do. I want to copy, cause the makefile, cause the build process in package source without any user intervention to copy this file right here into boot home package library. And if I get it into this directory, not in the Perl 5 directory, but right down in here, then all the other Perl modules will build. And then that's, you know, I got like 2,000 builds out of that. So this is not a small thing. Now what comes to mind obviously is to use the copy command. And I've seen other makefiles that, in which, especially Zip2 is an example of after the thing builds, the makefile causes it to install. So now I got to look and see what's in place over here in Perl 5. And there's another, actually, before I get to that, there's another file that needs to be put into place. It's called hkpkgsrc. Now, I found that there are some builds that can't find hkpkgsrc in this core directory. In fact, let me look in my solved thing exactly what it is that was the deal. So Perl's under languages. Okay. So I had to make a manual. I got this misspelled. Haiku. I had to, let's see what I wrote. Whereas my notes were concerned, because I was doing this mostly Confederate and stuff. Okay, a large number of Perl failed to compile as a result of a missing header and the fact that Haiku doesn't seem to relatively path headers. When compiling the Perl modules, we'll look for a header called haiku-ish.h that is included in the Perl h header, shown as haiku-ish. Now what I'm okay. So the way headers work is basically there would have to be this Perl header I'm talking about needs to be in this core directory. Let's just see if it actually is the way I characterize it there. Look for it. Okay, so it's got a definition for haiku. The Perl people they've worked on getting this working for haiku. And there it is. There's the include haiku. I remember on numerous occasions, and I'm probably going to just end up doing this now, that unless I had changed this in parentheses haiku/haiku-ish.h just to haiku-ish in parentheses, and actually moved this file. I didn't keep it in the haiku directory, but actually moved it into the Perl directory. And then, of course, I edited the Perl header, which actually, that's what I'm doing, just to read haiku-ish.h, those things wouldn't build. So, I don't know what the root cause of it. So there's two files to move. There's one edit, and this is post-install. And how to deal with that? Well, I'd probably want to patch the Perl.h header, but the question is that even in the source at this stage? Am I going to look inside the source for Perl and find a Perl.h file and see that it has elif defined haiku, and then I got to figure out how to get the install scripts to put the this header actually in the same directory that the Perl headers in, and not something else. And then I got to get so so this is a kind of a challenge ahead of me. So so I have instructions as to what to do here. That's already up at my Confederate patches site. But I'm going to try to do this responsibly, or in a way that allows end users not to do this stuff, and package source will take care of it. But the whole goal is to get package source to take care of it. So I'm going to go into the work directory. All these, after a while, you get so many of these directories open. So here's the work, and it's under devel, I think, or language. This is where it actually builds, and it's building here only because of a setting I have in my daisy chained into my make.conf file. I am using Deiger's local patches and his local settings for the most part. I'm also going to look to see whether I had one set of features turned off accidentally. So I built 2 of the archivers, to make a fair count. But if any of these failed because of CMake having been turned off, then I'm undercounting what Deiger is actually able to accomplish. If I mistakenly turn off the features that he turns on for me, it's not Deiger's. But it's not about whose fault it is. It's more about me finding out what it is I need to tell Deiger versus what I've solved, so I don't give him solutions he's already made. Okay, so let's get back to this. So this is the source for Perl 5, and of course things aren't laid out in the exact same way that they end up when they're installed. So I got to figure out how to. Now, the most efficient way for you to find the Perl header is to actually use the terminal. So I got another open window. Find minus name, single quote, Alt V to paste. No, I'm not doing that. I want to change directories there. And also, because I am, well, hyperactive, basically, or attention deficit, sometimes I lose track of what things I need to do. So I have to do one thing at a time or I lose it. Okay, so let's go, now let's do the find. Find minus name, single quote, and I'm looking for the Perl.h header. Perl.h, actually it's redundant. Perl.h. Now if I can find it, now it seems to think that that's right in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to see if it has the same layout as what it looks like when it's installed. The if-def, if haiku, so let's look for haiku. Or haiku-ish was fine, but there we are. So actually what I want to do is patch this thing. But here's the deal. A couple things going on here. Number one, these are just my thoughts. Number one, when I look here at this definition for Symbian, it's clear that it seems as though the people who wrote Perl intended for headers unique to an operating system to land in a unique directory. Problem is, it's not getting pathed. So I can't do that. So we got to patch it so it lands where. Now I have to make sure that once I change this, that I do something to the installer to make sure that the haiku-ish header doesn't land in its own unique directory, but actually lands in the Perl directory. Second of all, I don't know whether the haiku-ish header already exists or not, so I might as well just look for that. Okay, so it's in a haiku directory. Which kind of tells me that it just copies it. Well, anyway. So, back up. All right, so I've identified that the Perl header is probably just lands installed into my system in the raw condition that it starts out in. So I'm going to make a patch for this. I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to call this perlh.rig. Now, before I do this, there's one thing I have to do. I have to go and I have to build the package tools package, I believe. But I'm going to do it on camera so you can find out exactly which one it is, because if I fail or if I got that wrong by memory, I'd rather give accurate information. I tend to talk too quickly. Okay, so let's just go to, first of all, I have the same shortcuts in my system. I have an earlier, you can edit your .profile directory and create aliases. So my alias for Go is cd boot home package source package source. All right, so now I'm going to go into package tools. I'm going to look, I'm going to see amongst another open directory. Amongst these package tools, it's the package, I believe it's package diff package that I want to build. I could install those, but I would rather just do a fresh install and base my work on Diger's work first and then add things to it. Instead of those were just like me trying everything, and I could have got something wrong in those other packages, which has me hesitant to release those things. So let's go into package diff. All right, so I'm in package diff. Let's just try to make this thing, and once I make it, I'll be able to make patches. Now, package source already has, it's a two-step process, and I've done this video before, but what you're doing is you're first going to make the patches, and then you're going to make the patch sums, so package source will accept your patch. And that is if you want to place the patch in the patches directory into the package source, category, name a package directory. To be not so, abstract. It's Perl 5 lands under the language category, and this is the Perl 5 package, and there is the patches folder within that. This is I've placed my whole package source set of tools in the boot home package source directory, which is what I believe I've called the package source root. So to go over this again, there are actually two places you can put patches also. If you want the patches to land in the package source root, package source category, name a package patches directory, which I just explained. This you have to do on the second step. You have to do make patch sum after you've placed the patch into the patches directory, and have gotten rid of all the .rig files that are created by step number 1. Which I'm going to do is actually making the patch, which is made by installing package diff. So if that isn't complicated enough, I don't know what is. But basically, if you want to make patches, first thing you do is you change directories into the package diff, the package tools category. You pick the package diff package, build it. It doesn't have any problem building in Haiku. So now I have, package waiting to be put in the folder. Then once you have this package in play, you don't have to do that once. And then from that point forward, you'll always be able to make patches, but there will be some difficulty. So for example, here for Perl, get a lot of patches. Now, this is one place the patches can land, okay? And then this is a backup of Diger's patches, but it may be a bit out of date. I'm actually going to go into where he wants you to put the local patches, is boot local patches. The good news about this video is you could press the pause button and go back. because I'm covering a lot here. He does have some patches in package. That's for something else. So if I want it, I could also put my patches under boot local patches in this case. And the only reason why it is boot local patches is because I have that setting in make.conf. If I want to use local patches, put them here. So I put all the local patches in the same kind of directory structure that package source is. It mirrors the package source root. This is say boot home package source. Boot local patches, and then we get the category, and then we have the patch. So here's a patch that Diger has made for Unrar, and I'll have to check to see if that's installed. And so package source will try to, for example, for this Unrar example, we'll try to there's just too many things to cover. Well, he's got an Unrar. Now, in this situation, there isn't a patches directory. And because there isn't a patches directory, it's only going to try to apply the patch that Diger created, this patch OS HPP. That's it. If there was a patches folder, and this patch is trying to change the same file that some other patch is trying to change, and if the lines cross, it'll fail. And so the file will remain unpatched and the build won't work, and that's problematic. Going back for the big long windy road that I've had, what my goal is to do is, in the case of Perl, is to deliver to Diger changes to package source that'll basically patch the source such that when the source is compiled, it'll put that library file in the directory where Haiku can find it, and it'll put the Haiku-ish header where Haiku could find the Haiku-ish header, and it will install a modified version of the Perl header, so it'll find the Haiku-ish headers, and then all those modules will actually build. So, but I'm also trying to explain how this stuff works as I go, even for someone that's brand new to this stuff. And what a patch is basically a change to a source code file that makes a difference between the package being able to compile and not, amongst other things. Sometimes patches are security fixes. Now, the make file is a set of instructions by which package source controls the compilation process and the installation process, amongst other things. There are other settings that package source use that are default settings that apply globally to every make file, or to certain packages that are important, and that could be another approach. But it's best to make the change actually in the make file where it's visible. So let's get back. Let's see, first of all, let's see whether he has a patch for Perl. Okay, he does have a patch for Perl 5. He has a bunch of patches for Perl 5. And he's got this patch hints Haiku. Let's see what he does here. So he's patching a shell script. That Perl uses in some manner. It's you know, this haiku.sh file is supplied by Perl. And I'm wondering whether I could do something to that haiku.sh file, basically enhance his patch to cause, one, the Perl library to land where it needs to land, and two, for the Haiku-ish header to land where it needs to land. I know how to patch the Perl header. But there's no point in patching the Perl header if I can't accomplish the other two things. So let's look at the haiku. And also, okay, to explain this, this patch is called patch hints underscore haiku sh because it is going to affect a folder in the patch hints subdirectory and change the haiku.sh file. So, let's look at the original file. So the original file is actually in the work language, and I was here. Okay, I almost started making a patch for Perl. The Perl header, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit this now before I forget, and I'm going to change this down. But the deal with this is unless I can get all three things to happen, this is somewhat of a pointless change. That's progress, I guess, but it's not going to really help anything. It still won't find that haiku-ish header. Okay, so there's Perl H. There's the original, so that's ready to patch. I have the tool to patch with, but I'm not going to do that yet. Also, it's probably best if I made clean before I did this, which I didn't do. There's a lot of things to remember. But let's just look at this source and see what's going on before I get lost in the details. Okay, so there's the haiku folder that comes with the source, actually. There's the haiku-ish header. And where is the... He has it in the porting... They had the porting hints directory. This takes a lot of work, takes a while. So, maybe it's a patch hints directory? No, it's the hints directory? Yeah, the hints directory. Then haiku, okay. So these are shell scripts. I know what to do about shell scripts. So this actually should be the end result patch version, but I'm just looking at it to see if there's anything I can do. It is a shell script, but the problem is I don't know when this thing runs. The best approach would probably be for me to change the basic makefile. Now, Dagger also has a repository of makefiles, but I can't sort out if he's made a change to the package source makefile or not. In some cases, the ones that I've looked at, they look the same, but I'm not really so detail-oriented that I'm going to find a one-line change in a file that's about, 20 lines long in every case, in the amount of time that I'm spending, given there's so many different things to do. But if I know it's important, I'll scour it and I'll find it. Okay, so now I need to go to the... I'm going back to... God, where'd that thing go? I got so many of these things open. Alright, so boot home. Package source. Okay, so you need to go into the package source root. For languages, Perl 5, and look at this make file, getting back to what I was doing before. First of all, do I have any of these things open in the first place? Just the haiku-ish header, which is the one that's installed. The Perl header, which is the one that's installed. So what are we going to do? What does this make file do? It's probably the first thing I should have looked at. So it's list all the conflicts, and there are numbers of conflicts. These are all changes to the policy.sh file for some reason to allow it to work in package source. Probably not going to mess with that. Here's use tools. Here's the libraries wanted. There's haiku network. That's good. And this would probably take me a very, very long. Now here's the post install. Now here's the deal. Okay, here we are. So if the operating system equals haiku, this is the part that I want to work with. So I've got a destination directory and a prefix. What the prefix is, I don't know, but I would gather. Anyway, so what I want to accomplish, I want to figure out the correct variable to use that will be able to withstand a change of the version number. Yeah, I could easily make a CP command that'll, and maybe Dagger can improve on it, that will specifically look for the lib Perl file in that directory I dug down to and copy it and move it, you know, but it will, but when Perl 5.2.1 is used, or 5.3 or something else is used, of course that won't work because the 5.2.0 directory won't exist. And even if I made it, it doesn't matter because I'm actually looking for a file to pull out, not a file to put into that directory. So, what I want to figure out is what's the variable for so I got to figure out what these variables mean. First of all. Second of all, then when I figure out what the variables mean, I can see if there's any one I could use. Okay, so change mode, destination directory, prefix, bin Perl. And you know, how does this become interpreted into what the results are is and you know, do they have any of these things defined here, or is it in another file? It is one big daisy chain. Perl packlist directory. What the hell is that? See, I'm looking for the library directory. So, okay, so I gotta look around to see if there's any other kind of variables. And what's this? Makefile common. This pretty much is what the makefile usually is. This just says download Perl 5.20 put in. Okay, I'm not really interested in all that. This is probably, these are settings for other. Now, it's one thing I forgot about, and this is probably the place I need to look, is the package list. Okay, if I figure out what these variables are. So we have a where do these things actually land? So we have package, library, and there's Perl 5. What the hell is that? That's the Mandarin. So what's this? How do they get that?
Alright, so let's look at package list.make. Maybe that will help me find out what the variable is. I don't know if I'm up to this, actually. I really don't. The package list, see, it should have... There's just so many options here. God damn. Version make. Why is there a version here? Well, I think I'm in a heap of trouble here. There's so many different places to look, which is a problem. What's this? Perl 5 Perl base. What I'm trying to do is very difficult. Perl 5 Perl base is what? I'm looking for libraries, okay? Now there's something called install libraries Perl. Jesus. The most promising variable here is Perl 5 Perl base. So what I would have to do to even start on this, I'm probably going to stop here. First of all, I don't even know if this variable is going to work. So I got to edit this make file, bmake clean, and see if I can get stuff to land where I want it from here. And then, you know, then if I can't, it might just be easier for me to make my own script and just put it right here where it says if opsys equals haiku. And what it means by post install, to make this clear as mud, when packages install, it actually installs twice in package source. So the package is made with the make command. And then once it's done building, it'll actually put the files in a folder called .dest directory, which is short for destination directory. Then it will zip up the contents of the destination directory, and then it will create a package out of those zipped up contents, and then install from the package that was created. Or it could install from the destination directory. You could just copy the contents over to the package source change root system, which change root means it's its own. It's different. If Perl's already installed on my system, it's not going to land in the same place that Perl is on my system or the Haiku system. It's going to land in package source's own little separate system that's isolated in this, I guess you could say, sandbox or area. It happens to be boot home package. Boot home package. Boot home package bin is where it ultimately lands after it installs from the packages it makes. So this see a lot. So what's at stake here? If I'm able to actually edit this Perl package source and get the file, so at least in a situation where it actually works, to Diger, and Diger is able to, now we've got a situation where it's like, will the package source people accept our changes? They might not. And Diger's assumption is that you'll just download the stuff from package source, and if anything, you'll use his patches. So, but he does now. You can, in your make.conf file, specify the package you want to build by path. Or say, if the package path is language Perl 5, then do this. I could try that. And that might be the most elegant way to go, because this is like a mess. And at the end of the day, but see, the problem that I'll still have, though, is, you know, maybe Diger will be able to come up with that part of the answer. So I'll still have, there's a variable that's 5.2.0 that is going to change. So my little script will only work for one 5.2.0, nothing else. So and I still have, I've yet to actually make the patch for the Perl header. So when I do that, what the patch would do is basically change the Perl header file from what it was to what I've made it, from the original to what I've edited it to become. So here's package def. So I've got alright, so first thing I want to do is actually bmake clean, bmake extract. Okay, so I'm going to keep, which I actually do have a copy of the Perl header here already. Or do I? I don't have. But I did edit the Perl header, and I don't have that in there. All right, so and then, you know, how am I going to get to apply my own system? It's already installed. You know that it gets really complicated because there's so many different things to remember. But why don't I just go to the actual work directory? And then I start getting a headache. And I give up. Work Perl 5.0. This is the one I made, right? First of all, so I want to set this aside because that's the way I do things. It's actually in here, I think. And then there's some confusion. Well, are you placing files for the system, or are you placing files for the package? All right, so let's make clean here. That gets rid of all the source, and of course this damn thing's going to disappear on me. Which is annoying. I probably could have just deleted the directory, which is the reason to have this stuff up here. Why the heck don't I just do that? All right, bmake extract. Now it's going to do its initial stuff, but it isn't going to patch anything yet. The haiku header, as far as I remember, doesn't need editing, it just needs to be placed in the right place. What I'll do is I'll just make a script that copies stuff. I'm going to start on that right now. So let's go to PE. And to make a script, you always have this and that, and there you go. And what I'm going to do is call this thing lib Perl 520 file move .sh, and right now it's just in my home directory. Alright, so it's actually extracted already. And what I'm going to do, let's see here. Let's just make the script, okay? So what my hope is, I aim to do now, there may be some other issue that's more fundamental. Well, if you just change this one thing in Perl, you don't need to move these things. See, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just going to do this here. So we have the so I'm going to copy the. Actually, I didn't have to do that. So where the hell is this thing? The haiku-ish header is here. Where it needs to land over here in core. And the problem is, again, I have this version hard-coded in there. So step one, I've moved the haiku-ish header into where the Perl header is going to find it. Two, I'm going to make a patch so the Perl header will find this haiku-ish header where I've moved it. But I also need to move the Perl library, which I haven't moved on my system, so I can just go find that. This thing. Get to the next line, for God's sake. Get the name of this thing. Alt-C. V, and that needs to go into boot home package library. V. All right, so I've now, and exit, I guess. Now this thing needs to be executable for 1. 2, I gotta decide where I'm gonna put this thing. I think I'll put it in the local patches directory. But that'll be important. And then I gotta patch that header, and then I gotta do a dry run and see if it works. So, what to do? First of all, I gotta make sure this thing's executable. So let's just look at it. My home directory, the thing I just made. I should probably just sort by date and I'll find the damn thing. To do that, get info, permissions, execute, and we're done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to file, I'm going to cut this thing, I'm going to put it to local patches. It's not really a patch. Let's put it right here, I guess. Okay, so now what I want to do is go to, and hopefully this will work, is go to the actual package source directory. Oh my god, I got so many of these things open. Package source directory, go down to languages, go down to Perl 5. Here's my make file, and I have a haiku section, which helps me. So I can change this. I think I've copied. Yeah, boot local patches. You got this directory from up here. Now, if you're not seeing this, it's because of your preferences don't have show navigator. Getting back to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the name. Alt-C. So I've highlighted as if I was going to edit it, but I really didn't edit it. I just did that as a way to be able to copy the name of the file so I don't screw up when I put it there and paste. So now, conceivably, it's going to detect that my system is haiku. It's going to do that stuff. Then it's going to do my file move. So now, the only problem is that, and you know, well, I named it Perl 5.2.0, so it's clear that if people are using something besides 5.2.0, but conceivably that Perl 5.2.0 script is going to want to have a variable in it, and the name's going to want to be variable too, and this is going to want to be variable, and so this approach may not be the best approach, at least not this time. But this is the makefile, I believe, for 5.2.0. If it isn't, then that's a whole other issue. And, it's not necessarily. Okay, so I've saved this. So I got my makefile. I have a clean directory. Okay, so now I'm going to go up to the work directory where the source code has been downloaded and extracted, and it's only there because, again, of one of the settings. The language 5.2. It's already tried to build OCaml, and it didn't work. It's strange. All right, so Perl 5.2.0. Now you just got to remember, where was this Perl header in the first place? And I think it was actually in the root. There's my Perl hash. So I'm going to make a duplicate. I'm going to edit the name. I'm going to call this patch.h.orig. Sorry, Perl.h.orig. Now the second thing I need to worry about, though, is whether, and of course I probably already closed that directory. That's the only thing annoying about separating it like this. I'm going to close this thing. I mean, started on advanced comp. Yeah, that's something else for me to deal with. I got a lot of work to do. There's the terminal. There is, do I have any of these things? Here's the, now he's got patches for Perl, but none of them hit the Perl header. Which is good news. So I'm not gonna have any conflicts there. Now I want to go into the package source directory. Look at Perl 5 and look at the patches that other people have made. And what I want to know is whether anybody else is going to try to patch the Perl header too, because if they do, then my patch will fail, and their patch both will fail. And that's no good. Now, for the most part, these newer patches here, they've gotten a little better. They actually say what they're going to actually affect. It's going to, you know, patch a file in the cpan directory, the dist directory, you know, right. So now what I got to worry about is whether any of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 patches, a dozen of them, if any of them are going to try to patch the Perl header. Now the way package source does it, that's different than Haiku. They have a different patch for each file. So I could look at the top and see what are they going to try to do. And no, this is not Perl.h. That's not Perl.h. That's not Perl.h. So we're so far okay, but eventually if it gets there, then I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Xsub, no, that's not Perl.h. We're moving along here. Figure, that's not Perl.h. And I wish they would change this to different names. I wish they'd use these other names here. That's not. That's not. Okay, so we're down to 3 of them. 2 of them. 1 of them. So hopefully patch ZE won't be for, yeah, there it is. All right, so now I got a problem. I could do one of 2 things. Well, first of all, I don't know how to write these things by hand. So what I have to really do is I have to take this patch ZE file. I'm just going to move it onto my desktop. Now I got an issue. There is some file somewhere in this whole structure that has checksums and a list of all the patches it expects to use. But the good news is that if you just remove a patch, it doesn't really seem to complain. But if I were to just change that patch ZE by hand, it would complain and say, well, this doesn't match the patch sum. So that's what the make patch sum function is for. But first I have to make the patch. Okay, so just going to recheck to see that I have actually in the work directory the Perl header, and I want the changed Perl header. This is so far as identical, so I'm going to put the one that I actually, or I'll just edit it. You know what I have to do, so let's go over here to look for the hike. Oh yeah, let's make this writable. haiku. And I'd probably better if I just did haiku-ish. So there are some patches in there. Here we are. So I'm going to change that. Now, this would not, it's still, the Perl header will still not find the haiku-ish header if my copy script doesn't work. It won't find the Perl header, and I don't even know if there's some kind of checksum on the make files that I've modified. I don't think there is, actually. So I've changed it, so now I have a difference. Now let's make the patch. Pretty sure it's called make patches, is it? Or is it MK patches? Yeah, that's what it is. So now if I go into the not the work directory. This is the problem with separating this damn things. And this is old. That's arc. And that's situated in the arc, I literally had to replace a patch. Now the goal is to be able to actually put this in the local patches directory. The problem is, there's all my patches. The problem is that if I have a patch conflict between the local patches and the package source patches, I've seen failures before. Let's just make patches. So what it's going to do is label everything as original, which is annoying. So there was no original patch perl.h, and that's the one I actually want to put in local patches. These other one, or I want to combine it with patch ZE and then do a make patch sum. If I do the local, see, that's the problem. If I do the local patches, it won't work. I'll have a patch conflict, and then it won't build, and people will say your patches suck. And also for all these data rigs, you know, the more patches there are, the more pain in the ass it becomes. I probably should have renamed this folder. Or I can move this onto the desktop for the sake of time and everybody's sanity. Go into my backup package source directory. So what I should have done is I should have renamed that, but instead I'm just going to get these. Come on, Perl. File, copy. If I renamed the folder, it would have made that thing without having all those damned rigs in place. Okay, so there's my patches. Now the thing is, again, I have the conflict with patch ZE. In this case, I could just trash it because I do have a copy of it. Okay, and I'm going to move this into here. Now for my purposes, I don't know. I really don't know how to handle those patch conflicts. Unless they don't cross lines. Now, what lines are we dealing with here on patch ZE? 1331 and 1265. Mine, so it has a range from 1265 to whatever that line number is. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, those are getting removed. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1265 to 1272. And somewhere around, let's see, 1331 to 1333. No, not that one. The patch that I made is in the 2446 range. So I'm in the clear. So I probably could actually bring this. Okay, I'd probably put this in local patches. Actually, let's see if I could do that and not have to do make patch sum. So where is right, gotta go to the local patches, language, Perl 5. File, paste. Patch ZE, I could put back because it won't cross the path of the other stuff. All right, so the open questions that I have is number 1. First of all, I also got to uninstall Perl. That's installed. And hopefully nothing's dependent on it yet. And I don't think there is. So I'm going to do package, delete, and I have an alias for that. Perl 5. Package info. So Perl dash 5.20. Okay. Alrighty. If that ever happens, you just copy paste. Okay. Package diff depends on Perl. That's okay. I'll get rid of package diff. And Perl, which will take a while. Now, so the open questions that I have, once that finishes, then I'll be ready to do a build. In fact, I probably should get rid of the package that I already have in the language directory where I have them landing. Okay, so it's done. All right, so if everything goes well, the first potential failure point is, right now I'm gonna do a bmake install. And the first failure point is if my local patch is rejected. And then I'll have to bmake clean again and then do a bmake space make patch sum. Or sums. I'm not sure which one it was. Then try again. That's the first failure point. The second failure point is if it isn't rejected, will there be just some patch conflict, even though they're hitting different lines of the same file, the Perl header, between the package source patch and mine? The third failure point is towards the end of the build. The question is the make file going to end up placing the files on my system where I need them to land? Okay, so there's 3 points that I can end up failing here. So let's see what happens. So let's just go and see cd language Perl 5. And I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't done this before. Do. So it's already extracted. It'll tell me. Previously applied patch detected. Reversed. God. Doesn't look very promising. Okay. Let's bmake clean. Now I don't need the Perl anymore because I got the patch. Up. That will disappear. Yes, I could have just thrown away the thing. Okay, so everything should be in place. I've placed the script in the local patches directory. I'm pointing to the script. I've edited a make file that won't go away if I make clean. So what needs to happen is after I make clean, I need to do, suppose I've already made the patch. I need to bmake make patch sums. Don't know how to make, okay, so it's bmake patch sum then. Okay, so that seems to have worked okay. All right, so now let's try it again. So the source code is in the dist file directory. It's going to extract and try to build simultaneously. There's no intermediate. My patch is still there. It's in the local patches directory. Of course, the original patches are there. Let's just do it. Now, to get this available to other users, it's a whole different story. Diger, assuming Diger accepts my, okay, so that worked. My patches succeeded. All my patches succeeded. Assuming that Diger accepts my Perl script or modifies it, and hopefully, you know, whatever. There's one thing that Perl is the package source. I'm gonna have to get that change in the package source makefile accepted by package source. Otherwise, it won't call the script and it won't copy over the two files that I want to copy. Now, if I were better at patching, I probably would figure out what to change besides that makefile to get it to do what I wanted it to do. My patch very well, or my change to the package source makefile may very well be rejected on the grounds that it doesn't use a variable. You know, it's only good for the 5.20. You know, and programmers generally know how to make variables, and I'm not much of a programmer. Maybe I could work on it for a while, but we'll see how it goes. So the first two failure points I've passed. Now, theoretically, actually, to verify, if I go into the work directory and I look at the Perl header, it should now have the Haiku-ish header pointing, as the Perl header should be looking for the Haiku-ish header in a, you know, it should just say Haiku-ish in quotes and not Haiku-ish. And it applied. So there it is. So now the question is whether my insertion of a bash shell script into that makefile only for Haiku, if that's going to actually copy over the two files that I need to have copied. So once Perl installs, one, it will make a package that has the Perl header and the Perl library right where I need it. But two, it'll also install it and place the files where it needs to be. A Perl could take a little while to compile. I here's a problem. Now I got some circular error that I didn't consider. The Perl header as it is in the source directory. So there we go. The Perl header as I've changed it in the source directory isn't finding. So I literally now have to actually make a patch for that effectively just makes a copy of the haiku-ish header and places it in the base of the source directory. Or I have another script that'll copy that in the first place. All right. So I'm gonna have to make clean again. The patch sums are done. The patch will apply. The question is, I still gotta make another freaking patch. So, all right, let's go. So this is gonna be a strange patch, basically a duplicate of file, but here we are. So boot. All right, if I make clean, it'll go away. So, but then it's already partially built. So, bmake clean, bmake extract. Probably should have just deleted it. I'm not used to having that luxury, so I'll just stop this. And where are we? Where's the work directory? Trash. All right, bmake extract. This time I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to rename patches directory to 1, so that way I won't have every file in there renamed as .rig and then I have to go back and change it, just because I want to make a freaking patch, which is basically copying a file. So this is coming out, this is the work, this is the Perl, this is the haiku, so I want to actually copy. See, I know they want neatly tucked in a directory, but it doesn't work because Perl doesn't path things, or haiku isn't pathing, or whatever. I don't know. It just isn't pathing. So just copy. Okay. Then now I have to make a haiku-ish original. This is kind of working backwards. The original course has nothing in it. Hopefully the extract is done. Find out which frickin' thing is actually the terminal. 3 of them open, for frick's sake. Okay, there's arc. Took care of that. Send the patch for that. That's my main patch. That's not the one. Let's look at this one. Okay, so we're extracted. Make patches. Now, I already have my other patches made. So. Something wrong here. Wait, okay, so I've extracted, I made the haiku-ish, I made the, okay. Oh, because I had to, yeah, I had to uninstall that. That's a problem. That is a real fucking problem. So now I gotta reinstall the Perl that I've deleted. Make the oh my god. Okay, so package add boot home packages language Perl. Okay. So you can see how much time one little thing can take. And so you don't want to have to do this again. You really do want the maintainers of the tool set and whatever you're working with to actually accept your patches. Otherwise, it becomes a churlish project. Next thing I want to do is it's packages. Package tools, and then was it package diff? I think I put it there. Did I put it there? Or is it? Oh. Alright, get out of the way. Where are we? Alright, so now it's installed. Now I can make my patches. Which, if everything goes right, there should be a little. That's the backups, for fuck's sake. At least it's here and convenient. So I did make the same mistake I made last time, because I got confused. This is actually the backup directory. So I'll go over here. I don't. Now, good news is no one else has made a patch for the haiku header. Language. Perl 5. And the patches, which I'm going to end up deleting and replacing with the one I've copied. But I don't want to delete those because I need the haikuish patch I just made. So this thing is going to put that in local patches. Patch haikuish. Copy. Tiger's local patches now. File. Paste. Now this should work. Probably gonna have to be made clean. But I didn't make patch sums, did I? I don't know if it changes its mind or what. Patches part unchanged. And the reason for that is because I only really did the local patches. But for some reason it likes to complain. I could try. I actually... Let's make clean, because I want to know it's going to work. Actually, it's not make clean. Let's delete. Let's go up here to the work directory. Language. And move that to the trash. Come on, you can do it. Oh, and I do want to make sure. Oh, come on. Why is this system freezing up all this? Okay, local patches, language, Perl 5. Okay, so. Alright, so there's my two patches, Haikuish, Perl.h. That's my little script. The script should remain unchanged in the base directory. Alright, so we've effectively, by moving that to the trash, we've made clean, so I might as well just do. Hopefully it isn't particular. It needs to make the patch sums after a download. But we will find out. And meanwhile, I might as well just empty this trash. See how this damn thing goes. Alright, so it's extracting, which is good news. No good news is good news, I guess, right? Okay. So if the second patch applies. So that second patch is going to do, okay, good, it applied. So the second patch is going to do is going to make the Haikuish folder that was missing when I tried the first build. Make sure your kit is complete. Unfortunately, okay, so getting back to my strategy, it's going to take a while to build. So right now, I'm working on my strategy. My strategy is, okay, well, I was able to build these. Digers patches, didn't build them. So what can I do to create something or tools or changes or something that will allow using the branch that Diger is working on, his local patches for Haiku. What is it that I can do to get these things that I have in yellow to build? I've already dealt with this arc, and the deal with arc is, unfortunately, is there's actually a patch line conflict there. I had to make a replacement patch for, it was patch AC or something for that's in package source. So that's nothing he can just stick in the local patches directory. It actually is something that would have to get accepted by the package source people. There's a modification to their existing patch AE, and I don't know how to sign off. I don't know how to sign off on these things. I've just that file I sent him is basically a combination between my patch and the patch that was already created. Advanced comp. I don't know why it didn't fail before. It just simply built before. There is a slight chance that it builds without issue in GC2 and not 4, and I never ended up replacing that with a GC4 build. It's very possible. In fact, the evidence that will tell me that might be true is if I look at my package original, it does have a later, like this BSD tar, that's a very early date. So these earlier builds that are like a good, well, end of August or September is probably something that'll just build. So it's not one of those. I don't know why Advanced Comp is at a different version. The version that I was working on, so I actually didn't even make any changes. So let's see. I originally had built Advanced Comp 115, and now we've got .115. So it not building now is, I don't have a rational explanation as to why it didn't build this time, and maybe there's my build of archive drive. And rzip. Let me explain what I did for those. What settings I had turned off that caused those not to build. Basically, package source has in its make files some hard links, and what we're doing is not a good. It'd be better if the change needs to be made in the package source make file. It'd probably be better if we got them to change that upstream rather than having make.conf overrides, but it works well. I just had those overrides turned off by mistake. So, and this make.conf daisy chains a bunch of config files that are in here. And those are package hard link issues, I believe. Yeah, so it was rzip was the one that had an issue. bzip had an issue. Wait, is that? Okay, so yeah, this is from now. So I do have bzip too. So this set of instructions here that I have in the Confederate patches, repository. If you can't see it that well, you can look there. This is hard links under package settings. Allowed the bzip to build where it would not, but this is just a package source issue. And the rzip. The arc package there was the one where I had to deal with the fact that a patch was already made for the file and it wanted to go to the same area. The end result, the combination of the package source patch and the patch I think that came out of hkpports is the file that looks like this, which is a little bit different than what the package source patch, what the hkpports patch looks like, or anything. So, I mean, how are we doing on this build here? It's now it can't find Unix-ish. Oh, this is going to be really fun. Alright, so I gotta change my frickin' patch. Fortunately, my patch for Unix, it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take so long. Might as well go through with it. Alright, getting back to this. It's actually in the local patches. I want to look. I'm gonna cheat. Perl 5. The Haiku-ish header is not able to find the Unix-ish header. I forgot about that. Now I gotta figure out where is the Unix-ish header. So I've just abruptly had to change subjects. Boot, let's see, work, language, Perl 5, work. Perl 5. Do we have a Unix-ish? Yes, we do, right there. So this uses 2 dots to be gone, and I got to redo my patch sums. I got to make clean. Whoop-de-doo. So eventually the errors will be gone. I think that's. I don't remember any others. Of course, I didn't remember that one either. So let's be make clean. Actually, I'm going to be make patch sum. All this means is the patches that are in the patches folder were not changed. The local patches will change, but not the patches in the patches folder. Now, here's the problem. I can't just continue because in my source tree, I could edit this, to save time, I guess. Take your time. I know that patch will, but I would rather test things. So let's go back and delete the work. Okay, make it. Let's just do it again. Because even though it's probably not going to make a difference, the fact I've deleted that directory, I do like to start from the very beginning all the way to the end to make sure that the stuff I make changes for actually work. And still we have one open issue, and that is that script that I'm calling, is it going to work in the patch source make file? And then we still have long-term issues, whether they're going to accept that change, whether they're going to accept that script, and where does it belong. If they accept the script on upstream at package source, then that little script doesn't belong in the local patches. It belongs in the, then these kind of, there's like a, then they would probably want to, include the 2 patches I put in local patches and upstream, you know what I mean? So, and eventually we'd want all these patches to go upstream. But it's hard to know when that happens. And then when there's a transition, people are still using the older version of package source, So let's get these hunks to succeed. And it did. Alright, so making patch sum is very important. If you don't do that, you make any changes to your patches, even the local patches, they won't apply. And I don't know whether, what's so strange is I've had Diger's patches apply, and I haven't had to make a local patch sum. Make a patch sum. For his local patches, I've just gitted down. And the patch sums, I would imagine, are in the work directories. But I just did catch on camera there that it won't accept my local patch if there's another patch already in place. And maybe that's the answer that I needed for the Qt4 libraries. They're in X11. And that some of Diger's patches patch the same file as the patches that are already made by package source. They don't necessarily cross lines, but it ends up rejecting the patch for no good reason, and so I can't do a build. And it may rely on the fact that the other parts have already been patched by package source. So what I really want to do before I run his patches for Qt4 X11 is I want to do a make patch sum. Make patch sum. Here. Getting back to here. Okay, so getting back to my little story of what I've done so far out of all these yellow things. Working on these. Arc I've dealt with, and it is a combination of the hkpports patches and a patch that already existed in package source. an email Diger with that replacement patch AC, which the only way it's going to be able to be used very widely is by being used upstream, because not only is it the same file that would require a bmake space make patch sum, but it would also it also causes a failure even if that were in place, because the lines cross. That is to say, the patch that has been made by package source goes over some of the same lines that my patch does that incorporates the patch from Haiku order. If that isn't confusing enough, hopefully Diger will be able to deal with that. Now Arg here, let's see, what did I do to deal with that? So for 16, now for Arg, that's a hack. I remember this. So Arg 16 and 45 is probably, he was missing a header. And here's something I don't know. It was working on my system that was broken, and I'm hoping it's going to work here. That I could actually make a header and put it in the system directory. If not, that's a good reason to cripple your system and restore it, because at least you'll be able to create headers in the boot system develop headers directory. Okay, so what this error is for Arg, and then how do I get that back to package source? And you literally have to hold the shift key down to actually add a file here, but I have to make some header package for this. Actually, an Haiku package. I don't know. So for Arg, it was saying on 45, it was missing a folder called statfs.h in the sys subdirectory of the headers. And I've done a video on this, and I've covered this a couple times. Basically, Haiku doesn't just have one header root, it has numerous. So if you have a statement that says, pound include, and in brackets any of these files here, that's all you need. You just place a file in the POSIX directory, and as a result, it ends up being a good include just for the brackets around the name of the file. So pound include brackets around alcoa.h will include that file, or brackets around sys/file. Now this was looking for stat fs in the sys directory. Now, the only statf, actually, the only stat, it's not there, it's in the BSD directory. This is the only, what the hell, statfs? Let me look at my source, see what I did here. That's where the package is again. I'm just going to do this until this Perl builds. Still building. This is for Arg. Archivers. Arg. Work. Arg. Okay, so I actually have two files that I modified for Arg. So for Arg, and then all of a sudden, so let's see what actually, and what was the error on Arg? What file was it? Environ.c was a hack, though. I literally just eliminated some lines. In part. But until I get past that, so I'll just make a patch for it. But I'm going to have to have a warning with that. That the change I made, just basically, I just got rid of some lines because it wasn't working. It was some kind of undefined, what was it? Actually, well, I'll find. I didn't make a very good notation there. All right, let's go to Arg then. Bmake clean. Bmake extract. I already know the two files I'm going to want to change. Arg and environ. And it wants autoconf. And it wants help demand. So maybe it got stopped and it wants Perl 5 get text. Well, if I don't have Perl yet, I do have Perl. I didn't uninstall the Perl that so I'm going to have to bmake. Yeah, it's not going to work. Package delete. See, what is this error? And this is an error where it's not even starting. Can't load some. It's because live Perl is not in the correct directory. So I'm going to package delete Perl. Package info. I don't know what the exact frickin' name of this thing is. Probably gonna want to rebuild that. Hopefully I'll be done deleting the package. Now here's another problem I might have. The package list that's created by package source is going to be looking for these, but see, I made copies. But if the copies I made are not on the package list, they just won't install. At least I don't think they'll install. So I still got to look at the content of the package and see if it's including the stuff I tried to include in it. Otherwise, I got to mess with the package list now. All right, so I can't build Arg without Perl. It's not going to happen. So, and some of these could have failed because the Perl library wasn't in place. In addition to the packages that are labeled as Perl packages, there may also, like Arg here, it doesn't say perl.arg, it just says Arg, but it does need Perl to build. And so I still got my last failure point here. So I can't even extract Arg yet. So I can't even get to that yet. So right now I'm just waiting for this to be done, really. And I'm still getting back to this thing. I'm going to have to, and I don't even remember with Arg how I dealt with that missing header, because I guess I could mount the other system, but I don't even know if I have it mountable. So I was trying to, hopefully it's going to make Perls with threads in the right way, because I didn't know how to do it. Because I was getting I had a lot of Perl builds in my original thing, but whenever I try to build a package that said needs a Perls with threads, please work. It wouldn't do it. And actually, if I've put if my little script there put those things in the wrong place, it won't be in the package. It will be in the system. There's so many nuances to packaging. It's ridiculous. But at least I could send a Diger what I was trying to do, and maybe he could figure out what to do about it. Because there's only so much time I could spend on this. I've been here. I don't know how long this video is. It may be going on 2 hours. So right now it's in the point where it's doing something. It said that it's installing. It may even be in the stage where it's saying that it's doing automatic manual page handling, but I know that's not true. And some of these changes may be changes Diger's made. I don't remember seeing this replacing link with file copy. And I don't know how well a shell script is going to fit in with all this, but it should be like right towards the end. And so if it fails, it fails. I still don't know whether my inserted shell script's even going to work as far as getting the files that I want on the system where I want them. Okay, so it's trying to do that, and it failed. So it cannot create regular file because it hasn't done that yet. So what I needed to do on this thing, and I don't really need to make clean again, so let's go over here. I don't need to do that. Patches, I need to edit this thing so it actually goes into desk directory. Boot or no. Oh no, you're right. It goes from there. I still want it to land and work. God. Work, language, Perl 5, work. There's .desk directory. So I want all this stuff appended in front of, and then the package list needs to be right. So I haven't actually had it land where I need it to go. Let's see, Alt-V. Yet. Alt-V. Alt-V, come on. And if it's, so I got to relook at this package list and see if it's going to show up. Is it just going to zip everything up from .desk directory? Is it going to do file by file and be all particular? I don't think it does that with the language directory, but let's, okay, go back to where we were. Do it again. Either it's going to fail or it's not. Now the .desk directory should be, that folder should be there. The question is whether it's going to put the Haiku-ish and the and if I copied the wrong Haiku-ish. Because that Haiku-ish has to have the right Unix-ish. And let's look at that. Which Haiku-ish am I actually copying? Am I copying the one from the base? I doubt it. And I'm not. That's what I need it to be. Hopefully it doesn't already have that in memory. Otherwise it'll copy it, but it won't have the Unix-ish header path the way it needs to be. I mean, is that the right place to put it? Can't stat. Boot home. Package live Perl. Now I want the library. Oh, it's got to go from. Damn it. It also has to go from .dest directory. Or somewhere inside the build directory. I don't know where it is in the build directory, so I'm not going to do it that way. Alt-V. It's just a monster path. Now I gotta wait again. And it's still an unanswered question whether it's going to be picked up and put in where I need it to be inside the package. Because ultimately, that's where it installs. It installs contents from the package. And that is dictated by the contents of the so that's why I like to check things, not just, oh, okay, well, I got that done in theory. What does plist say here? It doesn't really. Yeah, it doesn't have a live Perl there on the package list. And this. Seems to just copy the entire contents of. Okay. My thing worked. Now the question is going to be, did I get it in there? Not on the package list. Okay. So what the fuck is going on here? Do I actually have to change the freaking package list for this? Following files are in there, but they're not on the package list. It's this thing right here. See, the problem is now is that's really just for haiku. I don't even know if you can have comments in this thing. I don't want to spend 10 minutes to find out. The other problem is there's like 6 other package lists that get built. So it means I got to start over again. So I know the file move worked. I think this will work. So now I gotta. So what to do about that? Is that a patch or what? I don't even know how to fold that in. And the make file, and I haven't set those aside yet. And for the sake of time, my God, the work directory here. Where's... Am I already in there? That's Python 27. What the hell am I talking about? Perl 5. And you know what? That means Python 27 did not build. Not good. Okay, so now we have all this crap here. All these. I have to add a stupid... Okay, look at all this stuff. I don't even know how this is generated. From the install.packlist files. How do I get on the frickin' .packlist? There is a folder and package database. It's got contents. That needs to be changed. And it just gets to be... So I have to make clean. I don't even know if I'm still going to be able to get that into the pack list. What mechanism makes the pack list? So probably this might even be the only way I can get it in there. And I got these damn MD sums. I mean, fuck, man. I don't see a .pack list anywhere. What is this doing? I'm just going to try to... Does this thing... I'll try it. I think it's still going to say it's not on the package list. I don't see any entries in that damn thing that makes it look like it's... But at least I know it's trying to add it.
By virtue of its presence.
I just get like, wow, you know, forget it. I'll just manually copy the thing over and be done with it. All because of some dubious, unexplained inability to path. So this is a big showstopper. I mean, people can't build a full Perl, then it's just, you know, whatever. So it did accept that script. And then, how do I communicate this? Oh, brother, this is taking forever. And the changes I've made here don't really fold very nicely or cleanly into what Dagger has put in place and envisioned. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to take that and turn it into something else. It looks like I've gotten farther here. Now it's starting to get slow here. And I am going to quit if it still doesn't know how to find my God, why is this so slow? There's obviously other things that are being worked out in the system. God, man. And this is what really makes it really time consuming. There are special issues to deal with, special circumstances. And if I knew how to make those things path, I was also going to do some more. I guess just let this sit. I was also going to. There are some headers that I created myself, and I'm going to see whether I could actually. And what they are is they're headers that point to other headers. Sometimes a program will be looking for a header in sys. For example, and it's actually here, and there's more than one, so it doesn't make sense to yeah, how long is this going to go? Anyway, to get back to this, it doesn't make any sense to
Who?
Can't even make a text file in here. Hello? Hi. Can I call you back in like 10, 20 minutes? Okay. Bye. All right. It's creating the package. So what it's saying is that it couldn't find a version Perl module and it couldn't find a mini Perl module. But and now I'm going to look at my package. So and actually, you know what? In the system, I'm actually able to write to this area. Let me try to explain what's going on here. I guess I got to stop it. Let's look at this Perl package and see if it did what I wanted it to do. And then I got to get to Diger and I have to send him the right one. Or send him all my changes, basically. So I just boot the system. What am I doing? There's my Perl package. Let's see if it's showing up where I need it to show up. Haiku-ish header should be in library directory and libperl is, of course, not there. Where I needed it to be. Not there. Alrighty then. So, and the Haiku-ish, where was that? Ah. There's the pack list. Well, I could work on this some other time. I don't even know. But see, and then other things happen in life, and you move on, and you forget what you've done, and so you could sit there all day. Or I could sit here all day. I couldn't even take. So you know, if I move this over to another system, I can even tell you right now whether it's going to have Haiku-ish header, because I think I probably have it in place where I need it on my system, but the package itself, let's see if it's even here. No, it's not even there. It's stuck in destination directory. My God. And of course the so that I just wasted an hour. Okay, no, that is there on my system because I forced it to be there. The problem is the package isn't transferable. So I could, you know, send over this. I don't have a variable. I'm injecting a script into a BSD make file. All right, so that's about it. And I can't even write today. So I'm still stuck having to use specs unless I break the system first. And a quick rundown of how you break the system. You just do a fresh install, then you uninstall zlib, and then it tries to boot and it can't work. Then you got to do a second fresh install. this is in VirtualBox, and then you include both hard disks in your virtual machine, and then you mount the other hard, because if you don't, you won't be able to mount the other hard disk. And then you mount it, and then you copy all the stuff that is missing from the other hard disk that's present on your hard disk, move it over there, and then you can only boot in safe mode. But the end result is you can actually create a header and put it in boot home system develop headers. So yeah, it won't even boot unless you hit the spacebar at the exact moment when Haiku boots, and then you have to go into the safe mode, activate safe mode, and then boot at that point, and then it'll boot, but then you don't have any networking. So you can't download any of the source. So it's maybe you might have, if you straight safe mode, I'd have to experiment with what exactly it is, what you have on, what you have off. So still, with these header issues, there's really no good answer except for using specs that only works some of the time. But I'm going to try to go through this. I don't even know if I'm up to it. I mean, there's 20 of them. I've put the answers up there. Do I want to do all this work? Well, Diger's done a lot of work. Why shouldn't I? Okay. But, other things in life come up. And that was my point about this whole thing earlier on, that what's going to make something viable or not. Well, how does that relate to Haiku Inc.? What could Haiku Inc. have done, to make things, in this situation with Perl? How is my criticism valid or invalid, or does it even apply? Could Haiku have done anything about this? Well, I don't know enough about header pathing to come up with that answer. It could be that, and I also say that it's, in this case, not as forward as I want it to be for package source. I could say, well, some of the blame lies with package source. At least in as much as that the package doesn't have the files in it that I want it in the places that I want it. But of course, the answer package source will give, well, we had to do it this way because this is the way Perl behaves, and we have to get Perl to fit into our framework. And I understand that. So, in some cases and in some things, there are, so there's some given those circumstances, well, just don't use package source. Not necessarily. When it comes down to there's complexities and problems on different ends, it really boils down to, well, what's the easiest way to deal with this? Fortunately, I can't really make that judgment in truth because I really don't know how difficult it is to set up GCC to make it path parts of the system in one way or the other. But I would say that if I didn't have the pathing issue in the first place, I wouldn't be doing this. And package source is used by a number of different operating systems as the package manager. And I haven't looked thoroughly, but I just haven't seen anything in those files that I opened up that would indicate there are other operating systems that want their libraries and their headers to land in a different place lest they go undetected. You could cite the issue with Perl. I mean, the Perl people have decided that they want the Perl library to be down in the directory I was trying to copy it from. At the end of the day, the only thing that Haiku Inc. could control is what it could change to make things easier. Haiku Inc. can't control what Perl does. But I'm just an end user. I'm not really part of Haiku Inc. But since I am an end user, my goal is, when I look at the whole thing, I see one pathing, not a change to the path, the way things are pathed in Haiku, and the writability to the file system versus me complaining to package source about something that they've already jumped through type ropes and, leaped over, you know, they've done jump jacks and cartwheel, everything to get it to work. And they've been able to figure that out. Now here I come and I want them to, allow me to just be able to add stuff to the pack list so I could get things in the package. And maybe that isn't unreasonable. That's one way to go about it. But at the end of the day, also, it shouldn't be only about everybody always has to work around Haiku, because Haiku is not going to do anything different. That after a while, the developers get of the packages get the feeling like, oh, well, or the tool sets are like, well, these guys aren't willing to help us find a solution for their end users, and our end users, I guess, both. I'm both Haiku's end user, I'm Perl's end user, and I'm Package Source's end user. And if all three parties in general theoretically care about the end user, because that's supposedly what they're making their stuff for, end users, then in theory all three would collaborate to get an answer and a solution for the end users. That's fairly easy. Now, I have limited skills. Tiger may be able to overcome this fairly easily within the package source framework, and it'll be a non-issue. But being able to write to the boot system develop headers directory is not an issue in this case. But the fact that it seems like everything is very restricted on the system to start with, and the issues I was having with the last build that I had without the libraries being able to be found, really, in my judgment, really there's something Haiku needs to do. So they're making fixes to the system. Things are going faster, but in general, whoever decides how much Haiku is willing to untighten the reins on the system to, is, I really feel the onus is on Haiku to untighten the reins on the system to allow things to be pathed better under various circumstances. And you want people to test out different circumstances. And in the end, if you really do want users to be able to use this, then it's not for, either Haiku is there for end users to use its stuff or it isn't. And if it's not there, it shouldn't pretend that it is. And, why ask people to donate money towards a project in which the donors are not of any interest of the people making the OS? It doesn't make any sense. It isn't really a public service at that point. But anyway, in this case, there may be still a way, but if it's always we're just constantly working around the rigid stance that Haiku is going to take over things that really aren't that big of a deal. A user directory, being able to write add headers, add a header that points to another header, things like that, then Haiku is going to strangle out its end user base, and that's what I feel is happening. So you can write to the header directory, but you got pretty much a broken system. Unless someone can figure out how to hack it up. Diger does have an older version of Haiku up there that you can build, and on some repository somewhere that I saw discussed in some mailing list thread for the developers. This is faster. I like the way it's working faster and better, but still eventually does die down and almost come to a grinding halt, which I don't know why it does that. But with a system that looks and feels and has the potential of, end user friendliness, the end user in mind, it's just really unfortunate that we're strangling the development for the system. And I don't think this was done on purpose. Just, oh, we don't want people to use haiku on a daily basis when it's alpha. You know, you can't say that on the one hand. On the other hand, say, well, it's doing this great, and we're still calling it alpha on the other. You know, it's either one or the other, logically. So, probably sometime into this weekend, I'm going to send my stuff over to let's see if that even landed. No, it didn't land. So at the end of the day, with all my changes, liveperl.so did not land where I wanted it to land, so I have to manually move it. Still, it's where I was before, so I may as well not have done any of that work at all. Two, the haiku header did land in where I wanted it. Let's see if it's actually modified. Well, it can only be there if it's the way I wanted it, actually. Let me see, though. It's got the Unix-ish in quotes. The Perl header. For haiku-ish is pathed the way I want it. So apparently the pathing can't go any further down than just i386 haiku and core. Now it could be a pathing issue, it may be an issue with Perl. It may be that Perl, something Perl does allows it to be pathed. Because I've had to, you know, to throw the specs in the command line to get it to go so far off from boot home develop headers or boot home library to get this far. So I'm not quite sure. It may have nothing to do with haiku, and it may have everything to do with some small Perl script that can't look further than the haiku directory. And that's another issue on some of these things. So now I got everything where it needs to be. So basically what I have it set up is even if all these things are accepted upstream, both with Deiger and with package source, at the end of the day, the package itself that's created doesn't have the haiku-ish directory where it needs to be, and for some reason the system isn't actually copying over the Perl library where I want it to land, and both those things are not in the package. Yet I've got two patches and a script in place to try to do those things. So obviously there's some, as you can tell, there's some inadequacy in my abilities on my part here too. All right, so that's going to be it for today. And also I'm noticing that that the VirtualBox guest editions aren't working for me anymore here. I don't know if I did something secret magic, you know, to get to work in the other system. I'll have to study it and figure out what that was and maybe report on it, or if I did a video on it, look at it.